It's all in a day's work for this woman. She opens up a manhole cover and scoops out as much slop as she can, delighted by what she finds. What others might view as revolting, she sees as a bonanza. She works in the streets of the southern Chinese city of Shenzhen, a foot soldier in China's so-called gutter oil industry. After more than 10 years in the business, she says she's made enough money to build a house for her family back in her home village 1,000 miles to the north. Her slop eventually winds up in a processing plant like this one, where it's combined with other animal fat refuse to create recycled cooking oil. Workers put the oil in barrels for delivery to restaurants and hotels.
How can you eat this? If you eat it, it can kill you.
Cooking oil has long been a cherished commodity in China, where stir-frying in a wok is the mainstay of daily meal preparation. The high profit margins from gutter oil production have proven irresistible. Chinese experts estimate that 1/10 of China's cooking oil is gutter oil, which has been found to contain carcinogens and other toxins harmful to humans. Most of it winds up in hole-in-the-wall restaurants and among street food vendors. Illegal production sites are often discovered after people living nearby notice a nauseating stench and alert the authorities. Police have arrested scores of people across the country in recent years for engaging in the trade and seized thousands of tons of the material. The Chinese government enacted a tough food safety law in 2009 that included harsh penalties for producers of tainted products. But many consumers doubt that China's dinner tables can be completely free of gutter oil.
All we can do is accept it. In our current society, everybody tries to swindle everybody else. There's nothing we can do about it.
The lush fields of southern China's Guangdong province teem with fruits and vegetables. Produce from this area is shipped to Hong Kong and throughout mainland China. But a closer inspection can be disturbing. The fields are littered with an odd assortment of trash. An RFA investigation has found that farmers in Guangdong are making fertilizer out of fermented garbage, some of it contaminated with used batteries and other toxic waste. As the cost of fertilizer has shot up, farmers have found a cheaper option at the local landfill. They pile the garbage by the side of the road for compost. Then they mix it with chemical fertilizer and spread it on their fields.
No need to be afraid. I eat these vegetables too. Am I dead? I eat them every day and I'm still alive, aren't I? I grow them myself. You don't have to worry about eating my vegetables.
Chinese media have reported that 80% of the produce from this area is grown with waste fertilizer. Vegetables grown in this way can contain elevated levels of heavy metals like lead and mercury.
The government has a lot of regulations explaining how farmers should raise their crops, but we find that it may not do enough follow-up to make sure they do it properly. We believe the government should do a better job.
But the government response has been to cover up the problem. According to the state-run Xinhua news agency, when China's Ministry of Environmental Protection received data about farmland contamination, officials classified it as a state secret and refused to publicize it. The ministry has said it is still investigating. The wee hours of the morning and this slaughterhouse is going full bore. The operation, Located near the southern Chinese city of Shenzhen, is a makeshift cluster of tents, erected after dark and dismantled daily before dawn. Its butchers slaughter hundreds of pigs a night. But this is an illegal slaughterhouse, unregulated by the Ministry of Health, and sources tell RFA that some of the pigs processed here are diseased or even dead on arrival. Pork from this slaughterhouse and from many other unauthorized operations finds its way into China's food supply every day.
When a slaughterhouse buys pork, some pigs are still alive and others are already dead. They're not all dead. The dead ones are cheaper.
Pork is China's most popular meat. The country produced 50 million tons of it last year, nearly half the global total. And as China's 1.3 billion people become richer, their appetite for pork is growing. The spike in consumption has created new challenges for health officials. Sometimes the authorities announce plans to crack down on illegal slaughterhouses, but it's not an easy task. RFA sources say that operations are often run by criminal gangs and protected by corrupt officials. And when the authorities shut down a slaughterhouse in one place, it can quickly open up again in another.
Whether we're merchants or consumers, it's not possible to take an inspection machine to the market to test whether the food is safe or not. We can only trust the government.
Reports of food safety scandals are on the rise in China, but the people's faith in government regulation is wearing thin.
A thick blanket of choking smog has descended on the northeastern Chinese city of Harbin, closing schools and halting operations at the local airport. Highways were also shut, although there were still reports of multiple car crashes. The state-run Xinhua news agency said visibility in Harbin had dropped to less than 50 meters. It quoted a local traffic official as saying that drivers who ran red lights because they could not see them would not be penalized. Pollution from rapid development and heavy coal use plagues wide swaths of China. Thick smog in Beijing and other Chinese cities has prompted a strong public outcry, and authorities have pledged to make improvements. The State Council, China's cabinet, said in June that it would hold local officials accountable for improving air quality.
Now, I'm sure many of you have heard about China's food safety problems. It's something that affects the lives of over 1 billion people, but it doesn't affect your life all the way across the Pacific. Or does it? According to an online blog that was recently posted on the Wall Street Journal website, there's a decent chance that the next time you eat out at a diner, that the entire meal was imported from China, and that none of the foods were inspected by the Food and Drug Administration. The article, which has been picking up popularity on Weibo, claims that Chinese food products are being imported to the U.S., but inspections in both China and the U.S. aren't keeping pace, which is a growing danger to American consumers. The Post goes on to say that many of the imports are used by restaurants, institutions, as well as food processors. So as a result, consumers do not see labels and are not aware of the origins of the food that they eat. Now, a lot of Chinese Weibo users found the post quite amusing. Nobody thought that Chinese food safety problems would have an effect on the lives of Americans half a world away. And some even suggested that perhaps now, with Americans being affected, that the Chinese government would finally get off their butts and do something effective. According to the Weibo article, Chinese imports dominate some food categories in the U.S. Now, in a testimony before a subcommittee of the House Foreign Affairs Committee in May, food safety expert Patty Lavera noted that China accounted for 80% of tilapia, a type of freshwater fish, 51% of cod, 49% of apple juice, 34% of processed mushrooms, 27% of garlic, and 16% of frozen spinach consumed in the U.S. in 2011. So chances are you probably consumed some tainted Chinese food. Now, food safety problems are, of course, not only a concern for the U.S. A German magazine also recently posted a list of rejected foods imported into the EU from China during 2012. which included insect-infested potatoes, rabbit meat loaded with antibiotics, oyster sauce with the staph bacteria, salmonella-infected ginger, pumpkin seeds with glass chips, and arsenic in frozen calamari. Now that doesn't sound very appetizing at all, and that's food good enough to export. So you can only imagine that local Chinese have to put up with a lot more, and why food safety is such a big concern and a hot topic of discussion on Chinese internet forums. An ongoing cooperative agreement between the U.S. and China on tackling common food safety problems should, in theory, provide a platform through which effective action can take place. However, unsafe foods are still finding their way into American restaurants. And it's possible that in the near future, American diners would have to post a sign out that certifies that they do not cook with Chinese imported ingredients. And I guess if things got bad enough, consumers can always write up a petition on the White House website.
纸壳到底怎么变成了包子馅儿呢？费了一番口舌，商贩终于答应现场演示一下包子的做法。就是这种废旧的纸箱子，放在塑料盆里用火碱进行浸泡。火碱呢是一种工业原料，腐蚀性极强。一会儿，纸箱的颜色慢慢的褪掉，纸也变得非常容易粉碎。接下来，商贩将泡碎的纸壳剁成纸浆，再掺入肉馅中，还撒了一些被称为猪肉香精的粉末。大约10分钟之后，包子熟了。剥开包子之后，肉馅的颜色看上去并没有异样，很难看到掺在里面的纸屑。在掌握了充分的证据之后，工商执法人员依法取缔了这家黑加工店。
Using this equipment, we can tell which one is a real egg and which one is not real. For example, whether it is transparent inside or whether there are natural air holes in the eggshell. Earlier this year, a shocking report surfaced about fake eggs being sold in China, made of chemicals and food additives. 3 years ago, my mum bought fake eggs home. After that, we started to be careful so that we do not buy fake eggs anymore. This lady demonstrates the process for us. In fake eggs, the egg yolk is quite thin, and the egg white is very thin like water as well. Furthermore, the most distinctive part is there is no thin layer of skin in the fake egg. We invited a person who is an expert on Chinese fake food products to comment. It is definite that man-made eggs are being sold. Compared with the real eggs, it has 4-fold profits. One can sell some eggs and leave, go to other markets. It is called fire a shot and change another place. Chinese proverb, once the eggs are sold, you just leave there straight away. Looking for man-made eggs, we came to an egg wholesale market. When asked, one working there answered, "Well, we have heard of that, but there is no such thing happening here." Then he laughed and ran away. A man nearby was trying to make conversation with us. "Have you heard of man-made eggs?" we asked. "I have been on this job for 5 to 6 years, but before this I had sold those eggs." This man says he sold man-made eggs, but now, since the material is more expensive, it's not worthwhile to do it now. We try to get more detail from him. "No, I can't tell." He refused to talk. Are there any other traces of man-made eggs? We checked the web and found a website that teaches people how to make man-made eggs. There is also a method to make grapes. The person is in Henan province. When we get there, we contacted him and made an appointment. He chose a meeting place, a small inn near the railway station, in the room of the caretaker. He was very cautious and closed the curtains in the room. He is getting prepared to make the eggs. This is the liquid for making the inside content of eggs. Add color to make egg yolk. Pour the liquid into a plaster which has a half-egg-shaped mold. Then pop into liquid that contains coagulating agent to form the shape. The egg yolk is done. Pour the transparent liquid with the egg yolk half full, then form the shape and make another half full egg shape and put the previous half with the egg yolk part on top. And pop into the coagulating agent. The process is finished. The inside of the egg is finished. Well, it does not look like a real egg yet. The eggshell material is wax, mixed with wilky-colored material called mixed plaster. Place that egg into this mixed plaster, then remove it on a cloth. Slowly the eggshell will form by the chemical reaction between the egg and the mixed plaster. This is how the man showed us to make eggs. Now we are learning how to make grapes. He started with the egg yolk parts. Put some conduit of grape or fruit juice in the liquid. The egg yolk turned into grape instantly. He said that the grape just developed from man-made eggs. He says making grape is very simple and easy, big profit, many people are asking about them. This man also showed us to make big intestine, a very popular food in China. Just use the same liquid, but put in white-colored stuff. This man was saying, I have not prepared today, otherwise I need to put in the extracts of meat and special color. Then he squeezed this liquid into the coagulating agent. Open one of the end and squeeze the inside stuff out. Then outside became big intestine. Looks very similar, isn't it? In China, many dishes use pig's big intestine. This can also be sold. We are not making fake food. This is man-made food. But how other people use them, they are not my business. We have not been able to find the eggs on sale in the market. But consumers are worried about food safety and lack of life security really exists in China. Expert. Even with prosecution, there will still be people making them. As long as the poorest society in China exists, there will be more strange things happening. TV host. Well, the video we have just seen is quite easy. Well, I'd like to try as well. Let me start. This is the fake yolk. It is quite sticky. I wonder if that's the right amount I needed. Your gesture is quite professional. Thank you. Let's put it into the liquid in a leveled manner and let it run smooth. Well, look, the shape is formed. Well, the egg yolk is complete. I let you feel in your hand. How do you feel? Oh, there is a little bit not sealed. It's leaking now. If your kids asked you, Dad, is it egg yolk? You would say, no mistake, right? Yes, if not taste it, only look, there is no difference. Feels very solid. It is still not formed shape. It should not leak. Please have a look at this. This is mixed with the egg white. This has already had shell made. Please touch to feel it. Well, this one I can find. Can you distinguish it? Look, you did not pay attention when making it. Lack of feel of transparent, as if covered by something. Very subtle difference. Well, this is made by our journalists, not professionals. Not very skillful. The color also a bit strange, but here, the light looks quite good here. It could be easily cheated away and sold. The man-made eggs were on that market just before the Olympic opening. Food safety in China is really a problem. No wonder athletes from all countries wanted to bring their own water. It is just common sense and can be understood. So, as in Japan, we need to spread this important message. I am so sorry for Chinese people. They are full of things like this on the markets. It is already a hardcore phenomenon of its society. Well, they can even think of such a thing, really amazed about their imagination. What can we do if all exports products are like this? Well, this is the reality in China that we need to introduce to you.
You might want to think twice before eating instant noodles. Researchers found plasticizers in noodles produced in China. The findings were based on samples taken in October last year and is not related to the current scandal that's caused chaos in Taiwan's food industry.
The plasticizer scandal that hit the Taiwanese food industry is also affecting food production in mainland China, according to a recently published study. Since May, hundreds of Taiwanese food items have been found to contain DEHP. It's an organic compound, normally used for increasing the plasticity and fluidity in plastics. In Taiwan, food producers have been illegally adding DEHP to beverages and foods, like jam and jelly, to improve their appearance. Plasticizers can cause hormonal imbalance and are a hazard for pregnant women and children. They were first found in foods produced in Taiwan, but earlier this month, Associate Professor Lin Chun Huang from South China Agricultural University says she found DEHP in samples of Chinese-made instant noodles. The research results were published in China's Food Science magazine. Lin and her team found DEHP in more than half of the samples, with some exceeding the national safety standard by up to 100 times. They believe that DEHP was leaked from the noodles' plastic packaging, but a public health professor doubts that's the case. I don't think it's pure contamination. The DEHP was likely added to improve the texture of the food. Food packaging is usually stable and doesn't easily leak substances. Lin says her research was based on samples taken in October last year and is not related to the current scandal in Taiwan.
And continuing coverage of the milk crisis in the mainland. More babies are getting sick from tainted Chinese milk powder. And as the confirmed number of sick rises, some details of the scandal suggest that communist officials may have known about the tainted milk over a month before they notified the public. Here's more.
Chinese officials have said that roughly 53,000 children have been affected by drinking tainted baby formula. Over 100 are said to be in critical condition, and to date there have been 4 confirmed deaths. The poisonous powdered milk was produced by Sanlu Group, one of China's largest dairy producers. The formula was made toxic by the addition of melamine, a substance used in various plastics and flame-retardant materials. Ingestion of melamine has shown to cause the formation of kidney stones and, in some cases, acute kidney failure.
It is much scarier with young infants because their urinary tracts are very narrow, so they are easily blocked. And once they are blocked, that leads to acute kidney failure.
As China's tainted milk scandal spreads across the country, anxious parents are keeping local hospitals busy, making sure their infants haven't been affected by poisoned milk powder. Why didn't the government test the formula more carefully, asked this mother. China's lack of quality control is a key issue as the numbers in the infant formula scandal grow. Over 6,000 babies are sick and more than 150 are suffering from acute kidney failure. 3 infants have already died. Tests revealed the toxic chemical melamine in the infant formula of 4 companies, including the country's biggest dairy.
So for them, there are incentives for sure to try and make a bit of extra money by adding water and additives so that they can get paid more.
The additive melamine falsely boosts protein levels, fooling dairy companies into thinking farmers' milk is better than it is. All this while parents are left to figure out which products are safe for their children.
Chinese officials have reacted by yanking all of the tainted products off grocery store shelves. But experts say the real solution lies in a complete overhaul of China's dairy industry.
Chinese state media reported on Monday that shipments of baby formula contaminated with a cancer-causing toxin have been found. Health authorities tested 5 different types of milk products in Guangzhou, and all had excessive amounts of aflatoxin, a substance produced from mold or fungus. 2 companies in the Hunan AVA dairy industry were manufacturing the formula with the brand name Nanshan by Wise. Products from Bright Dairy are also being tested. The products have been removed from shelves whilst under investigation. Now, iPhone apps that tell people all about the latest food scandals are all the rage, scoring millions of hits and even crashing from overuse.
And the latest in a series of food safety scandals in China, Anhui province authorities have discovered fake edible salts made from the residue of agricultural chemicals. 3 people are being held in connection with the case.
Police in China's Anhui province have warned that products made with fake edible salt extracted from agricultural chemicals may have made it onto the market. According to state-run China Daily, police in Anhui arrested 3 people in connection with the case. The 3 are suspected of manufacturing and selling 10,000 tons of the salt. They set up a business in 2009, purchasing waste residues from the factory of Zhongjian Jiangnan Chemical Engineering Company. The factory was under the impression that they were using the residues to produce industrial salt. So far, no cases of illness have been reported in Anhui in connection with the salt, but Chinese citizens, disturbed by a string of food scandals over the last few years, see this latest case as a major problem. The 3 suspects reportedly bought the waste chemicals for just 75 US cents per pound and sold it after processing it for about $30 US per pound. The suspects are currently being held and will face a hearing at a court in Fuyang City, Anhui Province.
20,000 tons of meat, passed off as mutton, has been found to contain everything from fox to minx to rat. Over 900 people have been arrested as police in eastern China broke up a crime ring in the latest fake meat scandal. Around 400 cases involving meat-related offences are being investigated following a 3-month national campaign. One man charged in the case told how he processed fox meat as mutton after obtaining it from a farm that had raised the animals for fur. The low cost and mutton-like flavour apparently being part of the draw. Rat meat had also been used to produce the fake mutton, according to other suspects. The fake goods reportedly made around $1.6 million in profit.
The industry-wide secret butchers don't want you to know about. Major suppliers have been caught using a special product known as meat glue to stick together scraps of meat to sell as prime cuts. But while this product has been banned overseas, there's no law prohibiting its use here. Here's Rodney Lowe's with this special investigation.
It's the meat industry's dirty secret, a way of turning the scraps too small to sell as a premium steak back into a juicy, plump eye fillet to sell for a premium price. So clever, you'll never tell. Not even an expert can.
Before, you didn't even pick that as a join, though, did you?
It doesn't even tear through the joint. A bit hard to tell, isn't it?
Butcher James Faulkner runs Queensland Natural Beef Company, an organisation dedicated to using as few additives in meat from paddock to plate as possible. But tonight, he's exposing how some parts of the industry are able to trick their customers and use whatever it takes.
Yeah. I've just got some fine diced beef and my special enzyme. I'm just going to mix it up a bit.
Why have we got the masks on?
This is dangerous. See that? Don't breathe that in.
This powder is otherwise known as meat glue. Meat glues come in a number of forms, some produced by cultivating bacteria, the others, the primary ingredient comes from the blood plasma of pigs and cattle, specifically the coagulant which causes blood to clot. In the food industry, it has amazing properties.
So just got a little bit here, about a teaspoonful.
Yep.
Just over the top like that. And with our gloves on, of course, we mix it up.
Then roll it in plastic film and refrigerate. 6 hours later, you have a solid piece of meat.
And essentially, you've got a reborn, rebirthed eye fillet.
More or less, yeah.
Ours uncooked is easy to spot the difference, but cooked is another story.
Okay, so the meat glue one is on the right, and the real McCoy is on the left.
And it's not just beef. Pork, lamb, fish and chicken are all stuck back together using this glue.
It looks like one piece of chicken.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yep.
But hard to tell, isn't it?
Particularly that.
On the grill, it's even harder to pick.
So that's the real McCoy. Give this a burl. Nice and tender, nicely salted. All right, let's go for the meat glue. I can't tell the difference.
Once you glue two pieces together, it's difficult to cook thoroughly those parts that were on the outside but are now on the inside.
The amount of bacteria on a steak that has been put together with meat glue is hundreds of times higher.
It's the same reason they can take low-grade meat and pump it with water and flavour to make it edible.
Okay, so just after about a minute or two, we've got quite a lot of moisture out of there. And we've lost almost half a kilo.
Good evening, everyone. An international conspiracy killing thousands of pets nationwide was right in our backyard.
That's what the feds are saying tonight. KMBC 9's Martin Augustine is live to guide us through all the shady deals. Martin?
Well, Larry, for so many of us, you have a pet like Lexi here, or you know somebody who does. You can understand why so many people were brokenhearted last year when thousands of pets across the country died after eating tainted pet food. That led to a massive pet food recall, and that led to criminal charges today, with Kansas City playing a role in the conspiracy.
A Chinese company was indicted for conspiring with a business based in Las Vegas to supply tainted wheat gluten to a pet food producer. The toxins in that gluten eventually killing thousands of dogs and cats across the country.
And here's how an international conspiracy comes to Kansas City. The feds say some 800 metric tons of that tainted wheat gluten was stored somewhere down there in Kansas City's West Bottoms.
Since it was warehoused here, a federal grand jury heard the evidence here, and for selling the tons of poisoned gluten, arrest warrants will go out for those Chinese executives, which may not do much good, as the U.S. and China don't have an extradition treaty.
If these individual defendants travel outside China to certain countries
they may be apprehended and extradited to the United States, but China is not under any obligation to turn them over to us.
The feds say the Chinese company tainted that wheat gluten so that it could mask the fact that it was low in nutritional value and therefore it was much cheaper to produce.